We are live. We are live. This is Brad with Paintball Therapy, and today I'm sitting down with Jonathan and Travis, who host the podcast Overshot. It's fantastic, guys. Welcome. And basically, what I like to do is start out by asking you how you got started in paintball and got to the point where you are now. So we can start with you, Jonathan.
So I originally ended up hearing my neighbor shooting a gun in the backyard, a Diablo Mongoose. I believe it's like a spider ripoff.
Yep.
So I ended up peeking over the fence, being like, "Yo, what is that?" Like, it's a paintball gun. I went back there. I tried it. I ripped it. It was probably on full auto, shooting 300 something. You never know back then. So I ended up knowing my cousin ended up playing, and I was gonna buy a gun off him, and he had a mini mag, which I really wanted the mini mag because it had this cool splash, but he also had like a 98 custom, two complete. Like, I should, but now I'm thinking I should have went with that mini mag, but I ended up buying the 98 custom. Ended up playing at High Velocity Outdoor local field by us on a Bring Your Own Paint Wednesday, and loved it. Ended up going on from there for, a couple of years. Had a local bunch of kids that we ended up playing. Hey, Richie, what's up, man? Thanks for watching. Ended up doing, the local big game scene for a bit. Ended up joining this team Delta. Ended up playing on Master Blasters for a bit. Was like second in command for that. Kind of had to bow out due to, life stuff, with work and other things like that. That's where I met Travis. And now just running an X-Ball league, used to run a Woods Ball league, and we just started this podcast. So just trying to kind of grow paintball. I got a couple other projects I'm working on, really trying to take it from a kid that's never played before, maybe off a Craigslist ad, and then bring them through the system all the way to pro.
I knew T2 would not be able to resist this episode. Hello, T2.
Hey, T2, man. Appreciate it, man.
And Travis, how about you? How did you start?
Okay, so mine is a little more unconventional. So the first time I played, it actually is conventional. It was a birthday party when I was about like 14-ish. My brother drove me out to one of his friends' birthday party, and we played at High Velocity Outdoor. And like I enjoyed it, but I wasn't hooked. I was actually really deep in music at the time and playing in a band, so that was my main focus. So, time goes by. I get older. The band doesn't play anymore. I'm looking for something to fill my time, and my brother started playing scenarios, and he's like, "Why don't you come out and give it a shot?" So he got into it. He had bought a couple egos. He gave me one. I think I played Cousin's Big Game. And at that point, I was hooked. And at that point, I'm about 25 years old. So from that point on, we just start playing a lot. We're going to scenarios all the time. And we get linked up with this team out of New Jersey called Gorilla X.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that was they're run by two brothers, too. So it was kind of like a family thing. I was like, oh, they're brothers, we're brothers. They kind of get how we feel.
Yep.
And but what I didn't know when I joined their team is Pete Utching plays big game with them. And if you don't know who Pete Utching is, he plays with the Ironman back in the day. He played on Ground Zero back in the day. He paintball legend. Yep. So he started teaching me actually how to play and how to head check, keep my elbow in, all that kind of stuff as we're going to all these big games and traveling. So I do that for about 3 years. And at that point, we start to build a following. We're getting pretty good. We're playing a lot, so we're getting better. And so Kevin sees us, and that's when I start talking to Kevin Donaldson from the Master Blasters, correct?
Yep.
And so our guys start taking it not so seriously. I start going to less big games. Life gets in the way. We understand. But not for my brother and I. We were like, yo, let's do this. So Kevin's like, yo, come on our team, start playing local tournaments. And actually, that's how I kind of met Waldo. Is he was running the Woods Bowl tournament series at the time. He was like, saw us at a big game shooting people. And was like, yo, why don't you come play? You guys should get some guys and play this. I'm telling you, you'll do well. So that's what we did. My brother and I found 3 local guys from Cousins, Long Island. We put in a team. Our first tournament, we took 2nd place. And the only reason we actually lost the tournament is because we're scenario guys. So the way his were set up, it's center flag. And so the game is breaking down. About a minute left. My brother goes, I'm going to go get the flag. I could grab it. I go, do it, bro. You grab the flag. We just live. Time expires. We're the champions. We win. My brother leaves his gun in his bunker because we didn't know that that's a rule. Yeah, you see look on your face. We're young players. We didn't know.
Yeah.
He runs, he gets the flag, dives into the bunker, bam, they blow the horn, we're jumping, we're high-fiving, we're so excited. We're like, we just won our first tournament, we just won, this is insane. The ref comes walking to us, he's like, yeah, you don't win. We're like, damn. But like, that was our first tournament. We were like, this is our calling. We got to start doing more of these and start doing more of these. And so at this point, I'm about 28-ish. I'm 32 now. So this was all like not that long. Yep. So we're like, yeah, tournaments, let's do it. We start grinding hard with the Master Blasters. They had a big team. Their roster was about 100 players.
Right.
So we started finding local guys. This is how I get looked with Steve Casano, Richie Martinez, Bobby Martinez, all of these guys. So they're also on Long Island.
Yep.
So we start working together, playing together. You know, that's how we started working in the woods. My brother and I play a little X-ball in the beginning. We traveled to NEPL and started off with the 3-mans there, couple thirds, couple seconds there. We did the first time NXL went to Atlantic City. We went and played that. We did okay, you know, but and then after that, we just really hit the woods hard. And so, yeah, now I'm 32, and this is probably my second year in the GZ camp because the Blaster team was just so big. We just took the 10. I mean, we really had 10 guys that almost lived on Long Island. So we took those guys, and they wanted to bring the GZ name back because a lot of times what happened at the local tournaments is they were all Blasters. So you go to a local Woods Ball tournament, it's Master Blasters Black, Master Blasters Silver, Master Blasters. So we decided to go to the Ground Zero name to switch it up. And that's been about, I think, 2 years ago. I think last ICC was the first time we played under that like banner. Yep. And since then, it's been awesome. I mean, my brother and I have been working super hard. We're working out and really putting in the effort. And I know you were at ICPL where we took second place with Rosie, Mooner, myself, Steve. And now we're really on the high note. And since that second place, we really have been grinding hard.
Right. And that's one of the things. Your story is conventional, but a lot of the players kind of went from in the woods or from like a birthday party to in the woods, and then saw this, you know, airball game and kind of like were drawn to it. It's good to see that there's also the other side of it where you start in the woods, but you also go into the big games. Now that's rare. I mean, from people that I've talked to, it's rare. They play big games, but it wasn't anything that they jumped into like you're saying that you did. And it's fantastic that you came, and, you know, maybe the X-ball format wasn't the fit that you wanted, but you can scratch that competitive itch in the classic format as well, which it's obvious because of the camp that you're in, you know, doing it successfully.
Right. My biggest thing was I saw the local teams and the route they took to get them to play these better teams. You know, they had, you know, because again, I got into paintball later in my life. So I started off as D5, then D4. You kind of got to build up. Yep. But with this ICPL, you don't. And ICC, you don't. Like I said, okay, so my first ICC, my first big tournament ever, I played Dynasty in the semifinals.
Right.
And X-ball, when would have that happened in my career? 5, 6 years, you know, maybe 7.
Yep.
If I get looked up with the local guys and I can get in with the NYX camp, maybe I can expedite that. But so that was with the big draw for me.
Yep. Fantastic. And then what we can swing to is now, Jonathan, you are also, I mean, you did a Woods Ball series, which you cared deeply about, and now you're doing an X-Ball series. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? That is, if he's not frozen in time here.
Yeah, so I'll take over for John for a minute. So yeah, he runs an X-Ball League out of New Jersey, and he decided to get into the X-Ball League because he saw that it's easier to franchise teams and get them to come in that way, as opposed to running multiple one-off tournaments.
Right.
You know,
it makes sense. And then with the ever-changing landscape on the East Coast, you know, with some of the tournaments and series that we were talking about before the program, I'm sure he saw an opening there or a need to have it, because he said that it was supposed to be the first event weekend today was supposed
today.
to be if we didn't deal with all this virus stuff.
Yeah, it was supposed to be today. And yeah, he's really just trying to get more of the local guys like prepared for this X Ball format, especially like the lower divisions, the D4. A lot of the stuff you find at D4 in a local area is not X Ball. A lot of it is raced to a certain amount of points.
Right. Right. And
So,
he's going exclusively or staying true to the X Ball format.
Right.
There you are,
Hey,
John.
he's back.
Can you hear us?
Cool. So
it was perfect. It was perfect getting in here, but that's again one of the things. We'll just leave him there. So why don't you tell me about how the podcast actually started, because you two had to meet and then say, hey, let's do this crazy thing.
Yeah. I mean, really, it started off me bugging him. I'm a huge podcast junkie. I work outside and I'm always working my hands. So all day I have podcast blasting in my ear.
Okay.
And Waldo and I are good friends. Like, we talk a lot. We literally hang out all the time anyway. And he's coming back.
And I got that.
Okay, I'll keep talking until it levels out.
Yes.
But so we just have all these awesome conversations all the time, and we were just thinking we should make a podcast. Like, why are we not trying to grow our sport? Like, there's not a lot of this content out here. Like, we should do this. We should be these guys.
Right.
And so Waldo attended a marketing seminar with a guy that has a podcast studio in Long Island. So we went and met with him. And after that, it was like, yeah, we could do this. He really kind of helped us out and pointed us in the right direction, the things we needed to do.
Yep.
And then from that, literally the day we walked out of that meeting, we decided 30 days from now, our first episode is going to be out. And we held true to that. 30 days from that day, our first episode was out. And we just couldn't be more excited. Like, it's first of all, before I get too much, like, the response we got was amazing. Like, amazing. The fact that anyone listened to it besides my brother and my mother, I was shocked.
Right. But you have impressive numbers. I mean, from the numbers that you posted, you have impressive numbers. Why don't you take a moment to at least frame it for us?
Oh, I'm going to. So the numbers are, out of all sports podcasts in US, we are number 247 with 2 episodes in. And that's all sports podcasts. You're talking football, basketball, baseball, golf. And I was really blown away because that's a really competitive market. Like ESPN probably has 200 podcasts alone, and they probably dominate that.
Right.
So the fact
it's where you get all your sports news.
All of it. So the fact that we were even like sniffing that so early was a real eye opener. And that wasn't even like the most revealing stat was. So the guy that we talked to that helps us with the podcast said roughly is about 700,000 podcasts in the world.
Wow.
And out of all of that, our podcast ranks 1,800 and change.
Wow.
I thought that was a very impressive number.
Absolutely. How you doing there, Jonathan? You getting squared away with your technology now? Maybe he can't hear me. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you now. Is my connection better?
Okay. Yep.
Better.
Sounds perfect. Sounds good on my end.
All right, cool, dude. So I was trying to talk about the TSXL a little bit for you, but definitely go into it a lot more.
Exactly. We want to touch base on that.
All right, perfect. So the Tri-State X-Ball League came out of me not wanting to drive 4 hours to Boston to play an event. So that's what we're kind of doing in the past, driving to Boston, 4-hour drives there, 6 hours rides back. So New Jersey didn't have an X-Ball League at the time, and that's where it all kind of started. We have 10 teams franchised for D4. We have 4 teams franchised for D3. Traditional, well, not traditional X-Ball format, but it's going to be X-Ball format. I know somebody wanted to know what layout that we're going to be using. At least for the first event, with all this COVID-19 and everything, we're going to be using the Vegas layout because that's what people have practiced.
Yep.
I would like to eventually go to a blind layout release, but it depends on what the players want. So it's going to be at a Rullan Paintball, which is in Englishtown, New Jersey. We have 10 teams signed up for D4 for the whole season right now. And we have 3 teams franchised for D3, which means that they're signed in for the whole season. Right now, we did move our event back. Our first event was supposed to be this weekend, Easter weekend, which was, it's like crazy. Like, you know, everyone's like, why'd you do Easter? We moved it because we had another event the week before, then the week after, Texas layout would have been released next week. So
yep,
kind of juggling things around. I asked the teams. I had 10. If 10 teams want to play on Easter, man, then let's play. So ended up removing that event, adding a June event, and the first event, God willing, would be May 9th.
That is what we call dramatic pause in technology.
Right?
When is I probably am on the same.
Nope, that's perfectly fine. What was the first event date that you were thinking?
I think it was May 9th or May 19th, right? What's the next date, Waldo?
May 9th and 10th, man.
May 9th and 10th. Okay. Okay, perfect. And it's
May 9th and 10th is our potential first date.
Perfect. Perfect. And it's D4 and D3.
Yeah,
I would say
D3.
Yeah, D4 and D3. So it gives teams in that area a good step. And we were talking about it before we went live here about the need for regional events. Although, people like to play and people flock to the NXL, there are definitely places in the country where large regional leagues help those teams, because not everybody can afford to go to those expensive events time after time after time.
Right. I think there's a big benefit to picking and choosing the local event and seeing where the competition is versus spending the money for an NXL event. If you know where the good local competition is, I think it's kind of worth it to play it more there just to get more reps, because the entry fee is kind of expensive for NXL, not to dunk on them, but for what you pay for that, you can pay 5 or 6, 7 local events to get more spins and more reps. And that's what's really going to help you grow as a player.
Right. Right. It's the national event really isn't a platform for growth. It's to test your team against the best from other places. That's really it. And you should learn from that event and then plan. If you guys didn't succeed as well as you should have, maybe you should focus on your craft and stay local and win local events. It's that progression that some teams just go because it's a show, because you can see the pros. If that's the case, then fly out there and watch them. I'm sure it's going to be cheaper. But again, it's different methods for each person.
Right, to each his own, for sure. But like I said, I think we both agree on this, that play more local tournaments for sure will definitely help you out. And I'll keep talking about the podcast more until Waldo figures out his internet connection.
Yeah, that's fine.
And this is something that we definitely want to keep doing too. This is not I want to state for sure that we have 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year plans for this podcast.
Oh wow, so, fantastic.
Yeah, this is not something we're going to be like, oh, well, it's getting a little tough right now, we're going to quit it. No, this is something we really want to do, and we have big aspirations. And seeing how quickly the response was, we're trying to grow it as soon as possible to give people access to our content.
Yep. Why don't you tell me, and for the people who aren't there, the 2 episodes that you've already put in the can? What are those?
So, we have 2 episodes out. The first one is really just an intro to Waldo and myself. We talk a lot about what we talked on here, like how I got started and why we play and how we met. But the second is an interview that we had a great time because our good friend Mike Riccardi of the Master Blasters.
Wonderful. Yep.
And he's a local guy. He plays a lot. He plays X-Ball and he plays ICPL, a pro for Master Blasters, and he plays with the Master Blasters X-Ball team. They're Division 2.
Yep.
And he was a great first interview because he's like a friend. Outside of paintball, we hang out. So it was kind of easy.
Yep. Very easy.
And we have an episode coming out on Tuesday with Waldo, and we talk about all of the teams in the TSXL. because
Yep.
Waldo's been around this for a while. We literally talk about every team. He knows all the rosters.
Right.
And we go through them all. And
that's fantastic.
That'll be out a Tuesday at 6 p.m. this week. Our episodes are going to drop weekly.
Are there plans at the TSXL to have announcers? Because that's one of the things that people have said about bringing divisional announcers to that. I don't know if there's any plans of that, or I might have spilt some beans there.
Well, for sure, Waldo and I talk about doing a lot because our friendship has blossomed into I help him with the TSXL too. Yep. So with the technology we have through our recording for the podcast and our webcams, we could possibly do that. Right now, for sure, what we've talked about doing is doing a couple of podcast interviews with players right after the event.
Fantastic. Yep.
That's something that's definitely going to happen. So I think we'll get some great content from there.
For sure. Welcome back, Jonathan. How's the connection?
I mean, right now it's all looking good. So kind of what Travis was saying, I kind of caught the end of that. Were you guys talking about doing a live stream at the events, or I kind of caught the end of that?
If there was any plans on doing anything to bring more attention to those divisional teams, because that's ultimately what your goal is.
Absolutely. So, Hollywood Microcardi.
My guy.
Brian Casper. He also plays on Master Blasters Pro with Mike. But yeah, we definitely the episode we're dropping the one for TSXL will be dropping on Tuesday. Then he needs to learn and win before they can step up to a higher level.
Yep. Machine Gun Mike.
Machine Gun Mike, man, guy's a legend, man. Guy's a legend. I believe though, I think the Master Blasters Pro placed higher than them at the past ICPL. Not too sure though, so don't quote me on that. But I do agree. But those kids are tricky, man. Those kids are tricky, and they're coming for you. But going back to the TSXL, we're going to be doing a lot. Tuesday night, 6 p.m. is our next episode is going to drop, and I go into great detail on each team, on my thoughts of each team. I'm kind of an APPA nerd, so I kind of know most of the players on like the local scene. So I know what teams picked up who, what teams are going to be playing the league, who I think is going to win. But definitely going to highlight them. We're looking to do live drawings. So when we end up doing these, the schedule, we'll probably be doing something similar to this, or we have access to a studio that we can use to draw what teams are playing who, and kind of build up the teams, the brand. So when you play the TSXL, it's not just you're playing the league. If you want us to highlight your team, we're going to have some other teams in, High Rollers, Leverage, all these other teams that we're going to be trying to highlight through the course of the year. So, the best way to get highlighted, is to win. So if you win, trust me, you're going to get interviewed, and trust me, you're going to get your due praise on the podcast. So yeah, we're working at having the TSXL and Overshot. We're going to be doing, Travis is going to be there, probably even maybe with a booth, and we might just rip people as they walk by, and I know we're looking, as far as the podcast is concerned, to be at ICC and probably the ICPL, again, COVID depending, but
right.
That's what our plans are.
Yep. Fantastic. And what we were discussing when you were also having the technical issues was the importance of having a regional outlet for teams, because not all the teams can afford to go to nationals, and some of them need to reevaluate the process, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So again, my biggest thing is we were driving, 4 hours up to Boston, New Jersey. Like we would all be up there, and I'd be like, dude, you live 20 minutes from my house. Why are we driving 4 hours upstate? You know what I mean? I'm from Long Island. Travis is from Long Island. The league's going to be in New Jersey because the GW sucks, for better or worse, the GW sucks and nobody's coming to Long Island to play. But we're going to have it there. I'm a big proponent of using this as one, from going from 5-man to X-Ball is a big jump. This is to help bridge that gap by playing it locally and not spending, $2,000. Like, my entry for the season for 5 events of X-Ball, that's $2,200. for D3 and $1,750 for D4. Like NXL is $2,500 either way you split it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, it's just a better entry. And I also believe in, if you're not playing all the NXLs, if you're not playing all of them in D3 or up, or I would even say this, if you're not playing them in D2 or up, man, I think your money's better served elsewhere, because all those teams that are going there, they're playing every week. If you just be like, oh, I'm going to practice all year and we're going to go to World Cup and win, dude, you're not going to go to World Cup and win playing the 2 layout weekend practices beforehand. Has it happened? Yeah, but dude, let's just be realistic, man. You need to put the time in, the cohesion with the team and stuff like that as well. So,
yeah. And the best first step is the closest step where it's the least expensive. But there's also some places where they don't have it. When I lived out in Colorado, shout out Colorado guys, but there wasn't another field or another group of teams for 8 to 10 hours. I mean, you literally had to fly. So I can understand again where some teams have to fly to get that competition, but then in other geographic locations, it's, you know, a reasonable drive to get there.
Absolutely, man.
We have another one from Brian here.
My guy, I love Brian.
Yep. Keep up the good work. So, and Mr. Martinez is agreeing with us as well.
That's another dude. I love Richie. That guy's helped me out so much and taught me so much.
It's one of the things that I talk to the older guys about, Travis, where I really, really can see differences in some of the teams embracing the new talent, working it in, regardless of where they come from. Can you tell us a little bit about how it was to be welcomed into the GZ family? Because now you have like 3 10-man teams competing at the national level. So can you give us a little indication on that one?
Yeah. So yeah, we have 3 teams competing at the national level and maybe even a 4th, depending on if they can get it out. I don't know if they got their payment in for ICC in time, but I think we have 4 teams now. We have GZ Gold, the pro team. We have GZ 24K, which is the team that I'm on with my brother. And that consists of Steve Casano, the older GZ guys, Rosie, Mooner, and all their crew. And we take a nice mix. We have Silver, who is like, that's kind of Cole Jr.'s team. He runs that. Those are the guys that are more based out of the Baltimore-ish area. And like Southern Jersey, yeah, there's some Silver guys right there. And then there's Red, who is the other Long Island guys, because we have a huge Long Island following. So GZ Red is ran by Steve Darcy, and he has a lot of the local Cousins guys. A lot of those guys are referees at Cousins. So we're bringing 4 teams to all the national events. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and the camp is like so not. Like I said, we are getting the opportunity to learn from Rosie and Mooner and all these guys. Like, I'm just gonna give a small little story. So we're playing ICPO. We're in the woods. This is the most recent one. And it's me, my brother, and Mooner holding the show side tape. And we're not really doing a whole lot, but, you know, we're holding our own. We're getting a couple kills. But
24K on the screen.
Yeah, 24K on the screen right now. That's my brother right there. But I hear Rosie. You can tell Rosie, splash 6, splash 6. So we know the other side is splash 6. Mooner looks at us. He goes, nobody fucking die and nobody fucking move right now. Like, we're splash 6. If there's 3 of us and Rosie, we're fine. There's my beautiful heroine right there. So, and that's exactly
I thought you'd like this one.
So that's what happened. They just sat there. Phil Martucci and Rosie came across the middle, stitched up the last 2 guys, and it just his knowledge and the field awareness he brings. Like, instantly, he was like, guys, don't die, don't move, nobody move.
Right.
And just that kind of stuff they bring to our team is so great. And like the field walking, like we walked the field for probably 8 hours.
Yeah.
And we were just there like 4 months ago.
Right.
Like we spent a lot of time.
And that's one of the things that I've discussed with even the Iron Men and on other interviews, the disparity of people walking fields. Because in the old days, we'd honestly walk a field for 4 or 5 hours and then even sometimes come back to it. I recently was on a 10-man team where I said, okay, guys, we're gonna walk the heck out of this field. some dudes were done after 20, 30 minutes. And you can't do it on the layers that the old school guys do when you're thinking about that. And that's, again, it's one of those things where the old guys help you follow that path.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was like that when I first started. Yeah, I'd walk over 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to run to this spot. I'm going to go shoot everybody. And then Rosie would be like, yeah, but did you see this? I'm like, no.
Yep. Do you see this? Yep.
No.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be back in an hour.
And Jonathan, you play as well, classic and X-Ball. Do you have a preference or just whatever mood strikes you?
So, past couple of years, I've been kind of taking a step back, honestly, to run leagues, to help players and stuff like that. So originally, I started playing the scenarios and the big games, kind of dorking out, kind of LARPing in the woods type of thing. You know, I've played speedball, I've coached, I've done almost anything, you know, really. I mean, I might not have, you know, the 15-man Nell spot days with Kevin in the crew, but I mean, I went to UWL in Ecuador, Costa Rica, Cancun. I've done those events, you know, to kind of rank everything. To me, the international events, by far were my most favorite events, the international woods ball events. More so, you know, because you're seeing another country.
Right.
And kind of because they like treated us like rock stars, like, you know, like you know what I mean? That's what it was.
Happy to have you. They're happy to have you,
man. We're the Yankees when we came to town. Well, I was Derek Jeter, and Kevin Donaldson was Babe Ruth when we went to UWL Costa Rica. You know what I mean? So I would say those are my favorite events. I really don't like. I'm not big on rec ball. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big just go to like him and his brother go to Cousins. I'm not really doing that. You know what I mean? I do enjoy myself a good big game. I used to be super into that before Kevin Donaldson found me. And then when we would play big games, he'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going to run a mission." He's like, "No, we just shoot people. We don't run missions. We don't pull flags. We don't do any of that." I'm like, "No, I'm going to go rob the wizard, jump around the tree, get the points or whatever." Because dude, I don't care what it is. It's a big game. I want to win. If it's a scenario, what's good, Julian, man? How's it going? I saw him on the cast too. So, yeah, man, I love, honestly, I love the classic, man. I love X-Ball, man. I like it all, man. At the end of the day, if you're shooting people, I like it. And may the best man win, man. May the best man win. So
perfect. I'm going to go let my dog back in, but saying that, the question that I have is, why don't you share with us the short-term goals of your new X-Ball series? Like, if everything went the way that it should, where do you see it in 3 years?
Okay, so kind of going based off what Brad was saying, the goals of the league eventually are to be a training ground for teams to go to the NXL level, multiple fields. Eventually, you know, something where it's like WCPPL out of California. They got multiple fields. They got a higher division. I'd love to be able to take do a D5 X-Ball and do an open class X-Ball. So that's kind of where we're seeing the league. And then we're also looking into doing a youth developmental program where we take kids that have never played paintball and bring them up. Additionally, we want to add, you know, 3-man, 5-man. I eventually want to make it a bigger league. But with the resources right now of only having one field is limited to us right now. But eventually we're going to be looking at doing it on a grander scheme.
And it all you just need one to start with and run great events, which I'm sure that you will, and people will understand it and support it. I mean, that's really the motto of paintball. You know what I mean? Like, half of it is just getting it put together, because not many people want to take the time, the effort, and frankly, the risk of doing it. But, you know, I appreciate that you've done it, and I hope that it helps build up that area with players, because that's what every area ideally needs.
Absolutely. And you know, there's definitely programs out here that are, you know what I mean? The GZ camp, the Master Blasters camp, they're more so on the woods ball end of it, you know, and that's fine and everything like that. You know, we have the jesters out here and everything. But as far as the other thing that we're kind of working on, is bringing Long Island people up. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of Long Island players that are good. His GZ guys, the Master Blaster guys, you know, he goes to an airport. He sees Nicky Vegas over there. Nicky Vegas is playing on adrenaline. You know, his boy Mike's playing on Master Blasters. He's playing on 24K. And then, you know, he sees somebody that's on GZ Gold, which, you know, it's all great that they're on different teams, but we got enough talent on this island where if we're going to play a tournament in New Jersey or we're going to play a tournament in Florida, that's cool. But we can, if we just all kind of get together and we practice, we can practice on Long Island, and maybe people won't get burnt out as much, because a lot of people get burnt out here because they're driving, and it's not a big deal. You know, they're driving 2.5 hours on a nice morning to New Jersey, but then they get hit by the GW and 4 hours of traffic and whatever like that. So, I mean, Mike, that's all he says is kill. So we're just trying to do it. Hey, look, let's get the speedball field open at Cousins. And thanks to Steve Casano, thanks to Paul, thanks to Edwin and the Covenant guys for going out there and doing the manual labor, putting the poles up and putting some stuff up so it's a little bit nicer. We were there, everybody was complaining, you know, you'd have a 5-on-5 on the airball field. Cousins isn't going to put it up, right? We had 71 players out there the other weekend. 71 players, dude. And everybody there was like, holy geez, man, I've never seen it this bumping since Cousins 2 locations ago, and it was the boom of paintball in 2008. So that's, you know, another thing we're looking, you know, me personally, I'm looking to do, and anything that I do, Travis is, you know, kind of there in the background already or anything like that. So, you know, the TSXL is my main project. You know, I have some other ones. The podcast is a big thing. Me and him teaming up on this podcast. So, I know he went over like kind of how the thing came about and everything like that. So, you know, that's good. I just, you know, the only thing I would like to add kind of to that is he was probably right, and we should have probably started it earlier, but, you know, perfect timing, and, you know, we're going to keep going with it and rock and roll, man. I'd love to have anybody on it. You know, we'll have yourself on it at a point in time, but
yeah,
I'm waiting for some comments to come in.
Yep, it's here now, and that's the most important part, because you guys have to grab it and keep running with it, and that's, you know, I like the direction, because now here's the thing, and it's there's parallels there with this. I do this show where I talk to a lot of people around the nation and even, you know, other countries about paintball, but I also I do programs with local guys that nobody knows, or not many people outside of this geographic location know, but it's a platform to help them grow. It's a platform to help get them noticed. And it's one of those things where I see a lot of the other shows just go for the big names, go for the people that people know. Again, I want to commend you, because the angle from the tournament side of things is fantastic. That's added value to your customers, who that's what they want. You're playing tournament paintball to win, correct? Correct. And when you win, you want to get that acknowledgement. Exposure. Yeah, you're giving them that reason or that platform, and that's a fantastic thing.
Carmine, what up, dude?
Carmine, man, he's one of the local players, you know, that I've helped, you know, along with yourself. I know you've been coaching with Blast Camp and everything, Brad. And I'll be honest, dude, I mean, I'm a paintball nerd. I kind of like follow everything, but shocked, man. I'll be honest, man. I was kind of shocked at that outcome, man. You know what I mean? Not that I knew the one dude was on the USA team, but I mean, dude, for first event, you know what I mean, man? Semi-pro, jumping up from D2, right? You guys jumped up from D2?
Yeah. It was unexpected that you're going down this path, but I'll talk about my stuff and my guys for a little bit, because I'm a proud papa with it. It was my third weekend with the guys. So I only saw them 2 weekends prior when we were scrimmaging in Texas at X Factor. That was the first weekend that I had with the dudes. And then second was at Blast Camp with the Wisconsin Infamous Camp. It took me, like in the second weekend, I'm terrible with names. So I was calling dudes wrong names. And the thing is it was an overwhelming experience for me, overwhelming experience for them. I didn't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole. So basically what I came up with was, don't tell me where you play. I want to see where I feel that you should play. And they allowed me that leverage. And it was interesting because one of my state guys just told me, or one of the guys, because I like to have them be able to play any position on the field. So it's not just a snake guy. But the guy that I had playing in the snake said, I never played snake at a national event before. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, I'm usually on the D side. But it's one of those things where I shook up the dudes enough where they were comfortable in what they had to do. They knew what we were trying to accomplish. But in all honesty, I'm still learning what their skill set is. And when I put it together, now it's been a long time since I've been to a national event. These guys just came from D2. But you're right. It was a little bit surprising that we went 4-0. I knew we could do it. I have faith in it that we can go to where we want to go. But again, for my first national event in a long time, to go 4-0 was great. To go into Sunday, ranked number 2 with a bye, it's fantastic. Can't really ask for much more. The match that we had was tough. I mean, we came down to it. The Ralph boys won on a swing. We had a legitimate penalty. But I use all of that as learning experiences for my guys. We are learning how to play together. We're learning to trust each other. And I feel that if we did this well now.
Yeah, man. Let's knock on that wood, man. And I hear you.
Yeah.
Big thing I want to take away from kind of what you were saying, though, as far as like everybody should be able to play everywhere. I do believe that everybody should be able to play everywhere up into we're not sticking you in, you know what I mean? We're not sticking you, Brad, in the snake. You know what I mean? But
absolutely.
like, you know,
I am not a snake player. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Everywhere but the snake.
Right. I want to my philosophy is putting people where they play the best.
Exactly.
So if they're comfortable, even if it's a snake dude, but he's not comfortable in the snake, I'll ease him. I will make him comfortable. That's what I need to do. Is I need to empower and get my guys to play with supreme confidence wherever I put them on the field. And again, I believe that any coach should do that, but some coaches just believe in yelling. And if you're not ready to play at this level, get the fuck out.
I mean, I've been very guilty of that. Honestly, I've been very guilty. I would say that I'm not an X's and O's type of guy.
Yep.
I base purely on knowing the player.
Right.
So, I mean, there's been times where we've taken a guy and it's finals, and I'm like, yeah, you're going to the snake off the break. Dude, I've been playing Doritos all tournament. I played 600 points on the Dorito side.
Right.
Dude, just get the F in the snake. You know how to play paintball, right? We're not talking high. Dude, this is D5. This is D4-5, man. And not shitting on anybody that plays D4-5, man.
No.
I'm half blind, bro. I can play D4-5, man. So, you know what I'm trying to say? It's not the most competitive. It's not the most competitive level, but you know, going back to what you were saying, if you got to play, man. You got to play paintball, as my friend Mike would say, you know? So, it's kind of where I'm off on that one.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the props. It was a good way to start the season for us. And now, you know, it's kind of galvanize the Midwest behind us. And that's ideally what I want. I want to bring in the new pros, the old pros that are friends of mine that I've known for years and years, have offered to help. It's just one of those things where we're really trying to come together as a geographic spot. Also with Wisconsin Infamous, working with the guys from Aftermath and the local guys from NRG. We're just trying to get better. That's the thing. Always playing guys better than us, doing the right things, grinding it out and doing it.
Right. That's important at some point in time to play people that are better than you. Because at some point in time, like even I've seen it in the short time I've been playing paintball, is like we'll go to Long Live for like a D4 practice or something like that. And it's like, bro, I've seen the same dudes here playing tournaments, just coming here, smashing on D4 dudes their whole life. And it's like, I don't, to me, I don't get it. Like,
yeah, we were talking about this in all honesty, people. We were talking about this before we went on air, because again, there's many ways to look at things. Some guys don't want to travel and go to national events, so that they'll play regional or local events, and they'll play for 5, 7, 10 years. I have zero problems with those people. Zero. Because that's what they need to do. Play. You want to play. Come and play. But the guys who have a little bit too much of an inflated ego because they've been playing 17 years in D4, that is one of those things where, you know, it's about time you move up. Or if they're if they're constantly bringing in new talent, because I know teams where like there'll be 2 guys who, okay, you know, we'll bring in talent. Those guys go to bigger and better teams. Then we'll bring 2 more guys. Again, it's kind of like that. But franchises that are built on D4, D5 supremacy, I don't understand. So if there's guys out there in D4 and D5 supremacy in their areas, please contact me and we
step up.
Right. We'll have a chat, because I want to see, or I want to understand that perspective. Because
add me to this chat if it happens, because I want to know too.
Okay.
Well, I'll say this on a league owner's perspective and everything like that, man. There are a lot of teams in this area that could be stepping up to play the D3 division, and I think that they want to. You know, they're going to play the D4 and they think they're going to win. There's, you know, 2 or 3 teams in my league specifically that I know that's kind of their plan, and they're going to utilize, you know, those 2 D3 spots, maybe even have a 1 D2 player, and which is going to make my D4 division very competitive, honestly. But, you know, some people should be stepping up to D3. You know, I know there's teams in the past around here that they don't play the last event, so they don't rank up to D3. But also the thing is, around here, if you go to try to play D3, you got to drive to Boston now. But now with my league, you don't need to do that. So that's why even more so that I'm saying this now is if you're a local New Jersey, Long Island, Pennsylvania, Connecticut team, like there's leagues around now, guys, where you don't need to be playing EPL D4 for 4 or 5 years straight. And I'll even say this, man, we were big. We did that for a bit. We did do that for a bit as Master Blasters. You know, for 2 or 3 years, we were playing a lot of D4 events. We never had the same line twice, but it came to a point where, and I said, I'm like, yeah, just because we're ranked D4 doesn't mean we belong to be there here. We don't need to be playing this because we're ranked D4 to APPA, which I don't know what you 2 think on that. I mean, APPA is the best system we have now, but that doesn't mean it's the right system. And I'm surprised nobody has tried to do something different.
Touching on that, one of the things that I found that's really interesting is how in different geographic areas the APPA is looked upon. Like in California, guys play events so that they can rank up as fast as they possibly can. Where I'm at, there are doctorates in APPA manipulation. There's guys here that are fan flipping tastic, have 20, 30 dudes who are able to just whoop, 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 whoop,
plug and play.
Right. And make it work. I don't. I don't put that much time and effort in it because, again, I understand what you're saying. No system is perfect. I'm not going to even start to womp on anything, but I lived in Colorado for a very long time, for about 5 years. And there's a league out there called the Blitz Championship Series, BCS. And they don't use the APPA. And they have semi-pro players out there who play in open. And then they have the amateur and then the novice class. And to be honest with you, how they have it set up, there was never a problem. There could be, they even went so far out of the box that an open team came down to the advanced division and played with all pumps. Everybody else was ramping and they played with pumps because they wanted to make a point or do whatever. Right. Again, that for some reason it worked and they won and people didn't have a problem with it. It's like,
no, people didn't have a problem with it. That's the real thing.
That's the real surprise.
An open team just won. Well, you were using pumps. Well, they're open.
But they're using pumps. If you can't beat a pump team with ramping guns, I am sorry.
Right?
I mean, weren't you just saying something like that? The Predators used to do that, but that wasn't against ramping guns.
They did, right? They did that. They did that in one of their first events over here. But when we were talking about it, there was I knew that there had to be something more. Because it was the Preds. They could shoot whatever they wanted. Right. But that's what Marcus was saying, is that the semi-autos of the time were inconsistent. If it was an auto mag and it shot CO2 liquid, you couldn't sit and bang on it all day. You got 20 balls out and then it's dropping 10 feet in front of you. Absolute truth. I had a mag, CO2. Exactly. Autococker very similar. But the guns that they had were liquid delivered Sterling pumps. So they never had fluctuations. Gotcha. And it was just pretty much a technical cakewalk at that point in time. Then the guns were adjusted so that probably with the black rains in the stuff from Air America to, do the expansion chambers and what have you. And it brought it back down because they went to semi-auto immediately after that. But again, it's, if it happens, once, it's surprising, and I don't know if it's happened since then.
So I mean, weren't those the days where they were like topping half the thing with CO2 and the other with compressed air and stuff like that?
That was that.
I wasn't back then. I wasn't there, but
no. They did do that, but not at that time. That time was probably like the 90, 91, where it was CO2, and really that was about it. In the mid 90s, I was fortunate enough because I live in Minnesota. I played in Wisconsin. Air America was still in Illinois at that time. So they had a team come up to a field called Stalker in right by the Wisconsin Dells. And that was the first time that I saw compressed air. And that was in, like the 94, I'm thinking 93, 94 ish. And everybody else, I mean, I was using CO2, but the team, I think it was even Swarm, the guys who were shooting mags and then you shoot all day, and it never did anything. So it was a big advancement from that. Now, one question that always kind of has intrigued me is the competitiveness of the East Coast seems to be more about teams in your area as opposed to you against the world. Does that make sense?
So you're saying like us hating on our own people more than us hating people outside the region?
Correct. Correct. Is that an accurate assessment, or is it just like an East Coast thing where you equal opportunity haters? You know what I mean? Like just
it's a bit of both.
Competitiveness.
It's a bit of both. You know, I'll say this. I know there were some fights at ICC between, you know, two New York teams. Yeah, Mike, come on, Mike. Let's talk about this. You know, there's been issues with the same New York teams. And I mean, listen, I've heard stories. I got a lot of these guys are like my best friends. A lot of his best friends are these guys, man. And it stems back from the early days. That GZ Silver, GZ Gold, GZ Black, all those dudes were fighting each other after practicing the best day. And you talk to one guy, Gold was the best. You talk to the other guy, Black was the best.
Yep.
Or Gold beat this. We would kick their ass in practice, and then whatever with the tournament. I mean, to me, honestly, man, practice is one thing, man. You can beat me in practice all effing day, all effing night, man. Whoever wins the event, man, I want to win the event. That's my thing. And I think all the dudes in the New York region, I think, you know, there are people that play for the fun of the game and this, that, and the other thing. Like the guy Mike that's been posting, he's very into, you know, it's paintball, blah, la, di, da. Dude, man, I get a second place medal. That thing, I ripped that down the New Jersey Turnpike. Throw that thing out the window, whatever. No disrespect to anybody that gets second.
No.
That's just how I am as a person. And anybody that's comments in this knows how competitive and nuts I am. Right. But I 100%, you know, East Coast. Yeah, man. I mean, when we're in that cage, man, that New York attitude just tends to clash. I mean, I know people saw, you know, and Harrison's not, you know, really a New Yorker, but, you know, he kind of adopted that GZ style and whatever. Right. So, you know, I know Master Blasters versus GZ Gold. Harrison was on top of the tank, like, you know, like, oh, what's good? And then he slipped and fell or whatever. But no, there's definitely, but at the end of the day, you know, there's some people that might not like each other in the MB and the GZ camp. But at the end of the day, I know all the young guys, at least some of the times they're looking around and they're like, yo, this is nuts. Because like Mike's on Master Blaster, Travis is on GZ, and they're like, yo, we all hang out like at each other's cribs or parties and stuff like that. But it's something where, like, I know you had Ryan Brand on the other day. Yeah. It's the competitiveness in your minds just let us out of the cage.
Yep.
But like Ryan Brand said, man, back in the day, like whole BKIT thing, like that's a little bit what's kind of going on here with this New York MBGZ thing. You know, and hopefully one day, you know, maybe an X Factor type of thing can happen where it's all the young kids playing one of these 10 minutes. That's my goal. But because of everything that's going on, until I can fund this thing myself, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Then that's never going to happen. Could it happen one day? Maybe. But until I can fund the thing myself, I would really like to take the young kids on GZ, you know, Mike Moore, the Deleyer brothers, pair them up with, you know, some of the dudes on Master Blasters and see the kids, you know, no disrespect to the Rosies and the Mooners and the Tim Doyles either, but I'd like to see the 10 kids versus 10 of the adults or something like that. And, you know, let's rock and roll from there, you know?
Yeah. I can tell you how that goes. Not well for us.
I was just going to say, I know where my money is, but it's fun. Here's the thing. This kind of conversation, I already hear the guys, the old dudes who've always been in my ear ever since I was young. And it's completely, let's do it. Let's throw it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on.
Travis just got demoted off my 10-man kids team. But I'll tell you right now, I'll get a 10-man kids team. I'm telling, dude.
No, I get you. I understand. And this is one of the things that's fantastic. And, you know, it's different. I've seen New York teams since the 80s. And yes, the cast of characters have changed a little bit. But that vibe, that swagger, which is different with other people, but it seems like that group, that crew has it. You know what I mean? And I don't know, because I have friends from New York who don't play paintball, and they have, you know, a personality, but it's not that, you know, like if I'm playing checkers or something else with the dude, where I feel like if I played with one of you, or Kevin or Will, if I beat them, they'd probably punch me in the face. You're right.
Me, I'm flipping that board.
Right. Right. And I like that. I like that you guys live wide open. It's a huge respect thing. We're in the Midwest, where it's a little bit more subdued, and I love that energy. I love that, you know, just crazy, not you understand what I'm saying, just that competitive fire, and you all seem to have it. Some of the guys in the Midwest have it. You know, it's on fire on the West Coast as well. And for some reason, it's like Florida is the cool, calm, and collect crazy. Like, you know that they're competitive, and you know that they're
still
crazy.
Florida people.
Yes, yes.
You know what is that weather, man? How can you be too mad with that weather? I think the reason why us New Yorkers are mad, you know, we got those harsh winters and stuff like that, and it's like Kristen Sal. Yeah, what about Kristen Sal, man? That's a guy that was been playing D4 for a long time too, but you know, eventually he stepped it on up, and now he's on the pro roster as well. But I mean, I'll tell you this, man. You know, again, Chris is a great brat guy. So as far as, like, you know, not that I'm going to replace one of the old dudes, but he would be the guy that would play that older back guy, read the field type of thing. You know, I mean, old guy is a little bit more subjective and everything like that. But even if you were a young kid playing back in, you know, like you said, the 90s and stuff like that, yep. I mean, you could be 39 or something years old now. You're still one of the old guys. You know what I mean? You know
I'm 44 and I'm an old guy, but I was brought up as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I was 16, 17 at the time, so I've always been a kid. I'll always be a kid to these guys.
Those guys, yeah.
Right.
But you're an old guy to us.
I'm right. My guys call me old. My guys call me old all the time, and I'm like, well, you guys haven't seen me play yet. You know, right? So, and again, I use it as motivation. I love it. I love being challenged. I think that that's like one of those things where I understand the personality there, where to me, it's kind of like an East Coast thing, where if somebody challenges you, you either man up, sack up, and do it, punch the dude in the face. Very rarely does anybody challenge you and you go, you know what? I don't really feel like it today.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not up here. That's the vibe that I get. But again, it's, you know, from my perspective looking into it. Now we have Kathleen Alvarez, who says the Master Blasters always had that fire, started day one. And they did some crazy shit.
I think she's like an OG. I think she's an OG too. I've seen her around the Blaster page.
Yep.
So I think she knows them back when, you know, they were doing 15 man and back way before I was even conceived, probably.
Right. Yeah. Tell me, Travis, one of the interesting stories that you've gone through with the GZ guys so far. At least that's somewhat.
Yeah. You want just one?
Yes, just one is fine for right now.
Yeah, because there's so many. We make memories every time. So I'll go with ICC this year because we did pretty well. We finished 17th, and a great memory I have is you had him on yesterday. We got to play with Weasel from OJ Ironman. He guested with us. I don't think they put in it. I don't know all the circumstances. I don't know if they didn't put a team or he did. For whatever reason, he wasn't playing.
Yep.
Right. They didn't put a team in, right?
Yeah.
So he played with us, and he was just so great on the hyper pipe. Like, again, the whole field walking and everything like that. He played our side. So we had a dude, Sean Ken, in the corner. My brother is always the one on the snake, and then me and him were kind of like the two backups.
Yep.
And talk about a dude that I literally met probably 3 hours before touching the start box, and it was like I knew the kid since I was 4.
Right.
Yeah, he knew me since I was a kid. Like, it was nuts. He looked at me at one point, and again, I've known this guy maybe 3 hours. I just see his mask look away. He's like, "Bro, do you want to go? You look like you want to go." I'm like, "Absolutely, bro. Let's get 3 guys in the snake." I was like, "Yeah, I do." And like, just that whatever you call it, awareness, like, to just gel with that, it really was just so, like, blew me away, because I've played plenty of tournaments and there's plenty of dudes that don't gel with. Like, it takes a long time to gel and build that. And the older guys really just like, it's just like they've been there the whole time. And I've gotten blessed to play with so many of them. Yeah, they adapt.
Yep. That's now you guys are going to have to explain this one, but Mike has been a wonderful contributor on this.
So, I think he's just saying we're on vacation because we're all stuck inside here for the COVID. Honestly, I think that's what he's kind of getting at, because I can't wait to walk the fields for ICC again. Yeah, you guys need to do better, Mike. You guys were trashing ICC, man. But kind of going off with what Travis was saying, I kind of want to touch on that a little bit. I'm not trying to take over the host spot either, but
please.
As far as you guys, as far as like, I honestly believe, and more so because I've seen 100 players go through the Master Blast of the GZ or any system or whatever, and I've always liked to help people, always like to help kids at the field and everything like that. What do you feel, Travis? As far as, are there just some kids, if they can play paintball every week, there's just some dudes you're not going to click with?
Oh, 100%. Because they're just because there's a point at paintball clicks. Like, at some point in time in my paintball career, I stopped looking at paintball straightforward and almost looked at it like a drone. And, as the field's breaking down, I see things. So unless you see that, like I do, we can't even have a conversation, because you're talking about something and I'm like, not, a lot of people are focused on what's right in front of them and just too much tunnel vision. So if the player can't see the game like that, I can't even.
I like to call that my aha moment, where you connect with a player, like players that I'm bringing up, where they look at it one way, like you were saying, Travis, and then it just opens up and they see that big picture where everybody works together. There's layers, there's, drop shots, blind shots, bounce shots, this, that, the other, and it just blows their mind. And
you're not just battling the dude down the tape. You hear a dude cross shooting your bunker, so in your head you see the field of paint coming, and like, say, like, my brother's in the snake one, I'm like, oh, he's not safe. Hey, yo, Dills, get your head down. Corner's got a shot on you, all this kind of stuff. The 300 IQ stuff was when it clicked for me, and I started looking. And then I just have a hard time with, get inside the game, man. It's a game inside the game. And if you're not thinking about it, like, I just have a hard time communicating with you, or if you're talking to me. Because another big thing in paintball is, I want to say J-Rab said it, it's one thing to talk, it's one thing to have valuable conversation. It's one thing to scream St. Corner 1,000 fucking times, but guess what, dude? After the second time you said it, I knew. So have meaningful conversations on the field, not just shouting, splash 6 4,000 times. Like, yeah, dude, okay, I got it, splash 6. Where the F is everybody else? We're splash 6. There's 4 other dudes. Where is he?
Yes.
And just some people don't. Some people just sit there and go splash 6 snake corner, splash 6 snake corner, splash 6 snake corner over and over again.
Yep.
You might as well do nothing. You might as well be doing nothing there.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Jonathan, now from the X-Ball side of things, you're going to be focusing on that this season. Are there going to be any events that you plan on playing?
So I do plan on playing two distinct events that, like, I've definitely. So last year I drove with him and his brother to ICC.
I made him come.
Yeah, maybe I should have been going. Honestly, I used to run a Woods Bowl League. I always said I should have been going. So I decided to go. Like I said, I previously played on Master Blasters. I actually played on the first 24 karat team before he even did. So
I had to work.
I'm maybe more gold chains than he is, but who knows? So we hop out the thing. And in the past, you know, through my many's of travels, we had, when I was on the Master Blasters, we played in Tennessee. We had James Butts and Josh Merritt that played on CEP. Chattanooga CEP, a good pro team. Well, not such a good pro. They became a pro team. They're a good semi-pro team. So first day, I'm there just to chill. So I'm walking the field. I'm having some of those mango beers. I'm just chilling. I'm like shit talking them a little bit. I've always coached up Travis and his brother. I'm like, listen, I was telling them, I'm like, dude, whatever the fuck. I'm like, Rosie tells you to run into 17 guns, you go over there and you do it, bro. You whatever Rosie tells you to do, because Rosie, if it's Rosie 1-on-9, I'm picking Rosie every freaking time. So you know what I mean? I've seen it. It's been done hundreds of times. So, you know, day 2, and then I got to kind of revert back. So then another one of my friends, Dave Brady, a local kid, calls me up one day. He's like, yo, I got asked to play on Bad Company. So I'm like, dude, if you don't take that, you're a moron. And I'm like, and also I'll tell you this, man, Tom Cole, every event that Tom Cole's put in a Bad Company recently, they've done fairly well. So I know they won Jerry's Woods Bowl World Cup. So, you know, they got top 3 at ICC. Like, dude, you should do it. So that morning, he's like, dude, I don't have a mechanical gun. All right, dude, take my EMAC. I give him my EMAC, my barrel, the whole thing. I hop out the car. He's walking to go play with Bad Company. And my boy's like, yo, I know Master Blasters. You guys got 100 guys. It's ground zero. You got 100 guys. Yo, give us a player. My boy Josh and whatever, James. Just so happened they're right there as I walk out of my car. They need one guy. I'm like, dude, I'll play. I can do it. Let's go. I'll play it. So, but now I'm like, fuck, I just gave my whole setup away. Hey, Chris. I was like, damn, I gave my whole setup away. I hit up him, and I'm like, look at him, I'm like, yo, you guys got to have something. I know you guys always do. So I take out the Master Blaster, because I always be telling people, like, you're on Master Blasters, right? I'm on Master. I got the Master Blasters engraved gun, the GZ
Did that on purpose.
GZ Gold sticker hopper, right? Freaking mosey on over there. Like, I thought you weren't on the team anyway. This isn't my stuff, man. Come on, you know. All the good players don't have their own stuff. You borrow everything, right?
Right.
So I ended up playing with Chattanooga CEP, man, and dude, ICC was a blast. I recommend it to everybody. If you're not there, if you're not in, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play with CEP this year because, you know, they're going to give seniority to their players. I'll be at the event either way, either doing the podcast, playing, or just causing, you know, a ruckus. But ICC is definitely, I'm going to be there. You know, shout out to Robbie Goldsmith and CEP for letting me play last year. You know, in the past, because I know how I am and how I get, I tried to stay very chill with them. But like the first couple of games, I mean, I was like, you know, the Mounds field's crazy, dude. So the first couple of days, there's like 4 or 5 of them dead. And I'm coming back to them, like, dude, these dudes play. What do you mean? These dudes play pro. What are you talking about? How are you all dead? And I hear them going, bro, I didn't fucking. So I'm like, dude, I got to win. So like I go, like, I'm on that slope, the bottom side or whatever. I'm in there, corner, trying to battle 2 guys. The horn goes, and I'm like, you know, I'm damn, dude. We didn't lose, but you know, dude, guy's a loss, man. You need as much points as you can, especially the way that the points are going and everything like that.
Right.
So I think we tied. I think first day we literally tied like every game. Every game, nobody hung on us, but we didn't hang on nobody. And 3 or 4 games in, Robbie goes, yo, if we effing tie one more time, I'm done. We're done. I'm done. Whatever money I don't know the inner workings, but like, you're going to pull the plug on the I don't know if there was funding. I don't even know. But you, man, it was my team to deal with that. So the game, we end up winning the last game, but it's like me and my boy James Butts, like the dude that got me on the squad for the event, we were the first 2 dead. I was like, dude, we should just die off the break every time then, because obviously we're the issue.
Right.
So like after the first day, like I was like, we still maybe mathematically could make it. I was like, we got to win these 2 Hyperball games because that's what we had left. And I was like, yo, Hyperball, that should be our best thing. These dudes used to play pro. Like, we'll be all right. You know what I mean? So we play a Hyperball game. I forget against 2, but we beat them. I think it was Destiny or some people that had Destiny jerseys, because I know it wasn't really Destiny. And then the last game we played Image, and I'm talking to our guys, man, and I'm like, dude, I know Image. They played my 7-man. They played my 5-man. They're mad as hell because they got 2 seconds this year when they were lights out in the prelims. I'm like, Earl, you know, the kid with the yellow autococker. Like, I'm like, I know where everybody's going. I'm like, yo, this is what they're gonna do. And I'm like, and they come fast. They're not gonna. They come fast. They're gonna. A lot of guys are gonna shoot off the break, and they're gonna make their moves. I'm like, well, yo, we can't play them straight up. Like, we gotta, you know, you gotta go into the state. We gotta try to do it.
Yep.
So we're playing, and eventually gets drawn out. We're playing them. They eventually beat us, but it was a long game. I shot a couple. I tried to get away with a little bit, but you know, man, when the push comes to shove and it's against the wall and you're gonna get out, man, you gotta try what you gotta do.
Yep.
But you know, shout out to those guys, man. Dude, they got second place, man, and I feel bad for them, man, because they had a rough year. They're good. I mean. Also, because normally, like, Richie doesn't play with them at those, like, he'll play with Aftershock, but he played with them at that event.
Yep.
And I mean, if you guys have never listened to that huddle they do right before that, and whatever Richie says is something like, like, you need to win, the pain will all go away, and it'll all be great. We just need to win that freaking game. Yep. You know, they didn't win, man, but that was, to me, that was painful in that moment. Yep. That's what paintball is about. So, reverting back to your original question, ICC. Number 1 on my list, and then a local big game here that happens, Living Dead at On Target Paintball is one of my most favorite things. Chris Winkle, another Master Blaster guy. You know, I don't think he's doing the pro scene thing right now, but he plays a lot of local events. He's helped me ref before, so shout out Chris. Shout out to helping us out in the past. But yeah, I can't wait for that big game. If anybody here is listening, from my big game days. Living Dead at OTP, I think it's end of August or September. We went out last year, and it was a lot of.
We've only missed 1 year of that, dude. I think we've played almost every year.
Yeah, and I think I've won every time I've done it, but I'll lay this claim to fame, man. If I go to a big game, I'm not losing unless like Kevin Donaldson's telling me that we're there to just shoot paint. You know what I mean? Like that's last year I got to give a shout out. Last year we had a lot of first time scenario players. Like we took Allie Balmores from High Rollers, and she also plays on Destiny. Shout out to them. They just won first place mechanical at Vegas.
Yep.
Mike played with Allie. Mike. It was Mike's Allie, Mike Paxson.
Yep. Harrison Fry.
Yeah, man, they had a stack lineup too. So that shout out to them. But yeah, man, I can't wait for that Living Dead game. And
should I tell the key story? Even though I've told it a couple of times now, just to show everyone how like serious you take this stuff.
Yeah, man. If you want.
All right. So because I like this story because it's funny. So we're doing this scenario game, and we have a mission to go like unlock this box or whatever. So I take one of like these newer guys who's like a mag fed guy, and I'm like, yo, come on, we're gonna go do this. We just gotta carry this key over here and get this box. He's like, all right. I'm like, can I carry the key? I'm like, yeah, dude, you can carry the key. I don't care. Like, I don't even have pockets, bro. Like, go ahead. So we go there. We walk to this thing. I go, okay, dude, give me the key. I gotta hand it to this guy, like a typical big. He's like, bro, I think I lost the key. I'm like, bro, how did you lose the key? He's like, I don't know. It's not in my pocket. I'm like, oh. So seeing Waldo's face, knowing how he takes this, now I have to go back and tell him that we lost a key and we're going to lose all the points for this mission. So I go back to the HQ. Yeah, he's breathing already. I go back to him, I'm like, bro, I got bad news. He goes, what? I go, dude, we lost the key. We can't do that mission. He goes, what? I go, dude, the guy lost the key. We can't do this mission. He has a little board set up with little army men on it, takes it, smacks it. Army men go everywhere. He grabs the ref of the walkie-talkie. He goes, I need to talk to somebody right now because if I don't get a new key, I'm taking everybody in here and I'm getting the F out of here.
Allie just commented, haha, the key story.
Yeah. So he goes, he gets me the key. We go back and get the thing. But you ever see someone's look on their face through a mask? The look on the ref's face when he was like, if you don't get this guy over here right now, we're leaving. He's like, all right, bro, relax.
Yeah.
That's no.
So
That's
funny.
That's the dulled down version. Like, all right, guy, relax. I think it was more like, hey, dude, like, you see this girl here that brought, this is the biggest game that you guys have had in a couple of years. Like, when we first went, it was like 1,000 people at this thing. Then it died down to 300-400 because of Allie, who just commented, and mostly Allie. Tim from Dizana Sports was a big part of it, but it was mostly Allie recruiting. I'm like, yo, we brought there was like 400 players that on our side confirmed that have never played a big game. All speedball players, all dudes from high, like divisional programs, some semi-pro dudes. So you're talking about introducing a whole new demographic, and if they have a good time, they'll probably come the next time, and they'll bring the rest of their team, or maybe they'll bring their girlfriend for a chill day.
Yep.
Or they'll bring their nephew or their kid or whatever. You know, these guys that are so used to playing that competitive thing, they'll bring the family. So I said something like, hey, dude, she brought 400 or 500 people here. Dude, if you don't listen to me right now, like they're not coming back, man. Right. And, you know,
I got a key.
I'll tell you this. I got a key. I went to the game producer and I made sure we had a key, and I wasn't losing that game. And like he said, man, I had the map printed, like, you know,
right.
Xerox. I had the little army men where we were, you know, I did. I mean, I'll even say this, dude. I maybe shot a bag of paint. I bought 3 cases of paint, and I brought my little killer hit squad of kids, mostly him and his brother. And dude, they were shooting mechanical, and they came back after an hour after dumping nine pods. I was like, yo, what the? And we had a bag of pods up there, and they went back out. And I'm like, dude, I
never saw the car. I never saw the car.
Right.
I think we're outnumbered. And to be honest with you, I think we were about like 70 players, but we ended up winning the game. So I ended up getting the MVP award, you know, mostly due to their help. You know what I mean?
Right.
If anybody wants a tip on how to be an MVP, just have a bunch of people, big games, stuff like that. So Mike actually,
he's a part of our crew. He always comes too.
Yeah, he's not part of our crew, but he was supposed to be at a pro team practice with the Master Blasters that day, and he came the night before. And our goal was to, you know, basically rob his keys so he couldn't make practice, so he would have to play the big game. So
fed him beer.
He played the beginning of the big game, and then he left, and then he came back and he played the end of the big game. But I didn't know. Because I saw him go out on the initial thing, and I kind of stayed in the base the whole day. So all of a sudden, like towards the end of the game, like they do a break and then they do like a final battle.
Yep.
I'm like, yo, I haven't seen Mike in a while. They're like, bro, he went to practice. So then I like walk back to because these guys wanted to camp in Guam. Finally walk back there, and I see Mike filling his paint, and I'm like, dude, did you leave? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I left. I was like, dude, I wouldn't have known. Big game general beast. Chris has been to a couple times that I've been the general.
Yeah.
When Chris plays, when me and Chris play together on a speedball field, I think we have like 5 consecutive first place. And I also think when Chris plays a big game with me, I think we're undefeated. We might have lost once in a rainstorm, but you know.
Right. You can blame that on something else if it's a
that was my mouth catching up to me over the years.
I remember that game, dude. The weather on that game was horrible.
I think that was like I barely knew him and his brother. I convinced them to come and play. Basically, go in the shower, make it as cold as possible. We'll put all your gear on and stand there for 6 hours.
That was what it was like.
Ugh.
And we lost.
It's terrible. It is bad. Well, here it is, guys. What I want you to do is take this opportunity to thank people that might not have been thanked before. It doesn't necessarily need to be sponsors. I'm not saying that it can't be, but it's one of those things where it's, you know, parents, friends, wives, you know, I've given you a chance to say thank you to some people who might have gotten overlooked in the past. And I'll start with Travis. Travis.
Yeah, for sure. God, people I want to thank. Honestly, I talked about him before, but Pete Utching taught me so much and was just like, honestly, he was so nice to me, and he had no reason to be. He had no reason to be. He didn't know me at all. Didn't know me at all. And he just took me under his wing, and it was just so nice. He introduced me to Nicky Cuba, and even though it was a blaster at the time, I wasn't like that. But it's one of the first times I played with Pete. Nicky Cuba was the general for the West Point big game, which is cadet up in here. Funny story about that too, real quick. So we're playing the final battle. I'm laying on the side of the hill next to Nicky Cuba. Any general has a ref. Nicky takes like 6 the goggles, boom, and the ref goes, you got to walk out. You know who I am? I'm Nicky Cuba. And I was like,
typical Nicky moment, man. Typical.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm shooting people.
This guy?
Right.
Because I didn't know anybody. Like I said, I wasn't in paintball that long, so it took me a little bit to watch all the push documentaries and Heroes for Days to learn all these guys were. And yeah, I'll never forget that. And yeah, I think I just really want to thank Pete for sure. And honestly, my brother, man, because if it was never for him, I would have never even came out and played paintball again. You know. And coming out of like the band, like it was a really like dark time in my life. I didn't have anything going on. Like we're just going to work and coming home, and that sucks, man. So I definitely want to give a big shout out to him because he's like my #1 stunner. We go everywhere together, man. I mean, I would love someone to drop in the comments to say a time you seen me without my brother, because I guarantee it hasn't happened. It's never happened.
I actually made the comment to somebody, and I can't remember who it was, that I thought you guys were twins, but you're just
a lot.
Yeah, you're brothers, and it's you guys are super close for sure.
Super close. Like we almost hang out every day because we play video games together. Like, even today, my brother and I played Call of Duty for like 4 hours today. So like we're always just hanging out.
Yeah, that's
and that really shows on the field, I think, too. Like we really do have like a good gel. Gel.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. And Jonathan, this one goes to you.
Gotcha, man. So real quick, I mean, I heard Travis even has a third brother that looks like the Geico caveman. At least that's what I've heard down in Florida. People thought this was his third brother.
Talk about another thing. Real quick, another thing, like, another guy. So Steve DeGennaro, a dude who grew up on Long Island, I didn't know from a hole in the wall. And apparently my long lost brother, because we both have long hair and beautiful beards. So he's my brother. Yep. And talk about a guy that I never met before, met maybe 2 hours, literally hours. He didn't even come walk the fields the day before. He literally showed up the day of the tournament and just went out there and just killed it.
Yep.
A killer. Really integral on us doing as well as we have. But sorry, Walter, go back again.
No, man. It's all good, dude. Tell your stuff, man. And I'm sure that if anybody wants to, I'm a little maybe more better at this. I don't want to say better, but if anybody wants to follow, Travis plays on 24 Karat, GZ Gold. If you don't know all their sponsors, probably have to hit up Archie because they have a lot of them. So
we have a lot of let me see. I'm going to throw out Ultra Silk for sure. Shocker Paintball, Push for our mask, Valken for our paint, and Bunker King. And I forgot you. I'm sorry.
Yep. Nope.
I think I hit everybody.
I think you covered it. I think you covered it.
I think you're going to be good there, man. So, I would like to thank, for multiple, for supporting me on multiple projects is Dizana Sports. They make joggers. They make jerseys. They got new gloves. They got cool hats. They got everything apparel wise that you would need from a paintball company. The guy's out in New Jersey, so I usually like to support the local or smaller companies in the game. He's always been great to me, whether it be the TSXL, the WTS, or Overshot podcast. So if anybody needs anything, they're running actually a good sale right now, 35 to 40% off. And then if you want an additional 10% off that, you can use code Overshot. So thanks to Dizana Sports. Another guy, Evil Gerbil, Eric at Evil Gerbil. I've known for years. He used to play the WTS back in the day.
Hang on. Yeah.
Travis is rocking his stuff. Mostly headbands, like that older style, like Sandana type of stuff. You know what I mean? Tiger stripe, all the old woodland, bull denim, and everything like that. Another, could use Overshot for him as well. That's usually the code we use for everything. But
Evil Gerbil headband right here. I got my gear bag right behind me.
So definitely shout out to Evil Gerbil. And then for the league, 2KE Graphics does a lot of my polos, awards, and stuff like that. Another local guy, Doug Burgess. He used to play a little bit. He plays a little bit now. He's on the High Rollers too, and they're playing my league. So again, I like to just go with some local companies.
Right.
And then as far as like in the past or anybody like that, a couple key figures in my paintball thing. When I used to play a lot of woods ball, there was this guy, Terrence Shields, that kind of brought me around to these big games. I was some kid from Long Island, and I was going with this loudmouth Brooklyn black dude. I mean, he got in a lot of fights, man. I mean, that was another guy probably I learned a little thing or two, but I mean, he had to back up my mouth. I had to back up his mouth. It was a little ebony and ivory type of situation, but shout out to Terrence Shields. while I'm no longer a part of the Master Blasters, you know, Kevin Donaldson, big shout out to Kevin for what he's done in the region, and a lot of my friends play on his team. A lot of my friends play on Cheesy Gold as well. So always shout out to those two guys. And just trying to think anybody else on the back end. I know we could always have myself back. We could always Travis back. You know, shout out to everybody that commented today. Allie, Chris, Mike, Willie, Winkle, Casper. You know, shout out to everybody that ever commented on me. I know I'm a lot to deal with at a time, but these dudes have, you know, taken it over. Again, shout out to you, Brad. Shout out to Travis.
I appreciate
it. We'll definitely, you know, be back, guys. And if you like paintball content, you know, check out Overshot Podcast. We're going to be dropping an episode on Tuesday at 6 p.m. About the TSXL. I'm doing it the wrong way, but whatever, you know, the hand motions or anything like that, if you could tell. But, you know, and shout out, you know, to all the paintball content out there, guys. So whether it be Go Sports, what Brad's doing, what we're doing, share it, like it, love it, subscribe it. And if there's something you don't like or somebody you want to see or anything like that, I'm sure you could reach out to me, Brad, Travis. We're here for the people, man. You know, whether you're Mike Paxson or you're Chris Winkle, man, we're here for everybody.
Right. And now to say, how do people find information on the Overshot podcast?
Great answer. So that was what I missed. So Overshot Podcast, you can find it on all the major platforms. Apple Podcasts, we're actually ranked within the top 250 for sports, within the top 2,000 for the world right now. So that would definitely, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anything like that. Buzzsprout, Spotify, any of those different things. Working on getting it so you can be like, hey, Alexa, I want to play the Overshot Podcast. We're working on that. We have a website, Overshot, a paintballpodcast.com. Instagram, Overshot at Paintball Podcast. Facebook, Overshot at Paintball Podcast. So we're just trying to get it everywhere. Your preferred medium. Eventually, probably, I'm not too up on the TikTok, but I hear that's what's pumping now. So we'll have to try to get on TikTok as well. And then as far as the TSXL, playtsxl.com, Facebook / Tri-State Expo League, and Instagram / Tri-State Expo League.
Perfect. And it's one of those things where I always say at the end, it's great if you forget somebody, because you're going to contact me and say, oh, I forgot somebody and I got to thank them. So we'll do another episode.
Oh, yeah.
But it's one of those things where I want to welcome you guys back to do another episode after an event, maybe after the first TSXL, where you have a program or whatever best suits you guys in what you're doing, because I'm a big fan, and I know that people need, like you said, as much content as they want to consume, which is usually not enough, because people just want more and more and more, and especially if it's interesting and with, you know, interesting stories from people. So that's what you guys provide, and I appreciate your time, both of you.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate you, Brad, man. And I'd like to say one more thing again. Thanks, Brad. And then as far as everybody out there that's listening to this or will ever listen to this, guys, the biggest way that we can grow paintball is not by playing my event even or a Woods Bowl event or anything like that, is taking someone that hasn't played before or taking that kid at the field and showing them the ropes. If you got to take 10 minutes of your time, you know, to let them use your, you know, your $2,000 CS2 instead of the rental gun that's been chopping paint all day. That's where it's going to matter at the end of the day. So let's all look out for the kids out there, make sure they're not getting shut up, and let's really grow this thing. I mean, if you know, you guys could say you love paintball or this, that, and the other thing, hashtag grow paintball. It's all fun and good, but when you're out at the field, live by that motto. Don't just type it.
Actions. You need to take actions and not.
I want to kind of encourage everyone to do something I do. Even though Waldo dunks on me all the time for playing open and playing with rentals and stuff like that. You know what? Next time you're at a start box with a rental, give him your gun for that game.
Yep.
You're going to change that kid's life. I do it all the time, and it makes them so happy. Even if I'm not using like an electronic gun, if I'm using even my shocker or my 170R, dude, that kid is so happy, and I guarantee you that kid is going to come back and play again and maybe even buy a gun. And that's how we grow the sport.
It's true.
Make sure he has a good time and help him out too. Follow him up. Yeah, dude, get in the snake or whatever. Yeah, I got you back to where I got the tape. Make sure he has a good time, because then he'll come back and play more.
Absolutely. And then hopefully bring friends the next time saying how much fun he had and whatever. We've all seen it and we've all experienced it. And that's what we need to do. We need to build the sport, and we do it one player at a time if everybody invests in those players, in that progress. So again, both of you, I want to say thank you. I want to welcome you to come back at any time. We will be in contact. I want to help you guys in any way that I possibly can, and we'll just keep it going and build each other up, and that's how it should be.
That's right. Everyone helps each other.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you guys very much. And
you
guys can hang out. You guys can hang out here. We'll chat after we stop. But yeah, other than that, thank you everyone for joining. And if you have any questions, comments, feel free to hit me up. If you need to get connected with any of these guys, again, send me info and I'll connect you right with them. So thank you everyone for your time today. Thank you. I appreciate